A friend is someone who knows that song in your heart and can sing it back to you when you have forgotten the words. Think about some of the famous friendships. Gail and Oprah, Thelma and Louise, Lucy and Ethel. And how about the cast of Friends? It's all about friendship journals and zines today. So let's get started. Okay, so I'll be the first to admit that Oprah and Gail probably don't send zines to each other. But as crafters, we really like to share little bits of ourselves and our artwork, and the zine and friendship journals are the perfect way to do it. So what I have here is my June Zine, and my plan is to try and do a zine every month. And so on this zine, one of the things that I did that was a little bit different is this is a Jane Davenport paper, and I really liked it, but I knew that anything that I put over it would hide that paper. So what I did was I did a packing tape transfer, just like you've seen me do previously, where I take an image and I put it down on packing tape, then I soak it for about 5 minutes, and you peel off the paper and you're left with the image on the packing tape. I was a little concerned that when I copied this, I might have some kind of a residue from shine, but as you can see, it's just fine. You don't see any of that residue. Now the image looks pretty faint, but when you actually look at it, you can actually see a good image there. So that was this side, and then on this, I basically just put glasses on her. I did a lot of doodling and washi tape, some stamping. I had some glitter stars that I added here. This is a stamp, a die cut, and of course lots of washi tape because you know I love my washi tape. And so it came together really quickly, and I'm really happy with it. This is my envelope for this time, and this is what it looks like. So it's a 4-bar size envelope, and I go ahead and I put, like this, it has my label on it. I have washi tape here. This is a rub-on that says number 2 for that zine, and then I used stamps to put inside right there, and then I have my address covered, but I put that there. Then when I copy it, I get an image that looks like this, which is, perfect. And all I have to do, because I know that the 4-bar is 7.5 inches, I cut it here at 7.5, and I cut it here at 7.5. Take it to my scoreboard, mark the lines, and cut out the little notches like this for the envelope, and fold it up, and we're ready to go. Now, here I wanted to have a little stamp. I'd shown you the stamps that I'd made previously. And so I decided I wanted to have a stamp that would go on the back of the envelope to seal it. So I just laid it down before I copied, and I put it right there. I know that many of you don't like to deal with a plain white background. And so I thought I would give you some alternatives that might help you when you go to create your zines. Now this is cardstock. It's just a hot buy from Michael's, and it has a lot of great images in it, backgrounds that you could use. And so what I thought I would show you is another way to use this in your zine. So I created a grid pattern here, and you can see where I've drawn the lines, but I didn't cut the slit like we were doing previously on our originals. You don't really need to do that. All you need to do is score it. And you can see here, this is watercolor paper, and I was just playing with some watercolors to get a background. And you can see there where I have my score lines. And that's all I've done. And I can go ahead and create right on this paper, not cut anything, not fold anything, and take it to the printer and make a copy. And when I have my copies done, then I can do, with the copies, do the folds and the cuts. And I just keep this whole, and I don't have to do anything to it. Where that's beneficial is if you're using cardstock or watercolor paper, this is very thick and it's very hard to fold. And you don't really need to do that. So That's one alternative. The other thing is if you find, like I mentioned, something that you like in cardstock. And so if we go back to this paper, here's one that's just a full-size 12 by 12. And I know a lot of people don't like brights, they like neutrals. And yes, this is kind of busy, but stick with me for a second and let me show you something. So I cut it down to 8.5 by 11. And then I've created this transparency so you could get an idea of what it would look like if you just scored it right on there. So I cut this to 8.5 by 11. And then I created a copy. And here's my copy. So you can see the color is pretty good. But I did this basically to show you. I would go ahead and put my score lines on the cardstock and do my creation. And then make your copies when you're done. And then you can do the folding and the cutting. But I made this copy just so you could see how it looks. And let's just say this image is kind of big, but let's say you would fold it like this, and then you'd have an image. I know this is big, but you get the idea. When you put this on there, it looks pretty good. And some of them are going to be less busy than others. But I think you could have a lot of fun with something like this. The second thing is, for you Tim Holtz fans, what about if you used something like this? So again, you'd cut it down to 8.5 by 11. We'll go back to our template. Now this almost fits, but not quite. But if you put it like in the center like that, how cool is that? You've got great backgrounds, as you can see here, right there and right there. Oh, I think it looks awesome. And because it's 12 by 12, of course, you could turn it either way, however you wanted it to go, and it would be perfect. So again, you don't have to cut your backgrounds, just get your paper to 8.5 by 11, do your score marks so you have a guide. That's all you're doing, is using it as a guide so you know where to place your images. Go to the copy machine, make a copy. And then when you have your copies done and you're ready to do your zines, that's when you do your folding and cutting on those copies. Works out great. So I wanted to tell you guys about that. And I know that several of you have asked how I make the parchment envelopes. And I'll show you that, or the parchment bags I put my zines in. So I'll show you that now. To make the parchment bags, it's really easy. You need a roll of parchment paper. I got this at the dollar store. You're going to need a bone folder and a pair of scissors and some glue. And I use this just because it holds well on the parchment paper. Now Crafty Irina has a video on this, and I will link it below so you could go watch that as well. You can use anything you want to make the bag. You can use wrapping paper, scrapbook paper, anything that you like. And it's really easy to make. So let me show you how. You take approximately 6 inches, and I just know how much that is now because I've made enough of these bags. But take approximately 6 inches of parchment paper, and you want to fold it in half. And you can clean up your edges as you go. Just make a good crease right there. And you want to take this folded edge and just make a slim little cut so that you have 2 pieces of paper. In the interest of time, I went ahead and did that. So I've got 2 pieces, so make 2 bags. What you want to do is fold this in half, and you only just meet up your edges. This is the hardest part, is this thing just wants to, and don't worry if they're not exactly even, it's okay. Just want to make a little mark right there so you know where your center of your bag is. Then you want to fold in one side and crease that well. And then you bring this one in, you want to overlap it slightly, just like that. And again, crease it well. Okay? And then you want to fold up, about 1/2 inch. That's just as a guideline, maybe an inch, however much you think you want. But usually 1/2 inch is just fine, and your zine will fit in there just nicely. It'll give you enough to fold down. And then what you're going to do is open this up. And you can see here there are some lines from where we folded the bag up. And what you want to do is cut right there on that first little section and take out that block, just like that. And do the same thing on the other side. So you cut across there and take out that little block. And now you're left with that. Then one last thing you want to do is just make a diagonal cut here. It just makes it look a little nicer. Oh, that didn't look good. Oh, there we go. Okay, so now you have 2 diagonal pieces. I didn't do a very good job of cutting that, but you get the idea. And now we're ready to glue. So what I do is I put a very thin bead right along one edge, very thin, just like that. And then I put another thin one on this edge, the part that's going to overlap, just like that. Let those pieces come together. And it will dry clear. And I generally use my bone folder lightly just to get that glue spread out. You don't want to put it on so heavy that it seeps out and closes the bag. So you want to be careful of that. And then I just put a little bit of glue right along here. And you fold that up. Okay? And then again, just use your bone folder. Just make sure everything is secure. And then the one thing I do is I kind of blow into it just to make sure it's open. You can stick your little bone folder in there just to make sure that glue didn't get anywhere in there, and you let it dry. And then once it's dry, and it doesn't take very long, once it's dry, I take pinking shears. You can use decorative scissors. That will work well too. And just cut the top off. Just straighten it up, especially if you have uneven pieces. It just gives it a little something. And then your zine goes right in like that. Fits perfectly. And then you can just fold this over, put a piece of washi tape, a sticker, whatever you want, or you could just leave it open like that. And then I end up tying, I take embroidery floss and just tie a bow on it and put a tag on it. And that's it. So again, it's really simple. And it looks nice. It's a nice presentation. And that will, see that you don't even see really that seam. But I put the good side of the zine, the opening zine, right on the front. And that's all there is to making that. So I'm bringing back the Friendship Journals. So back in 2015, I recorded a couple of videos that showed friendship journals that I was exchanging with my friend Patty. And I really liked doing it, and I thought I would start this up again, especially since we're talking about friendship and communication and all of that. So anyway, I thought I'd show you 3 different friendship journals I have started, and I'll walk you through this one. But this is one that I just have the cover done. I don't have the insides in here yet. And this one, I've got the cover done, and I've got the insides ready to go, but I don't have it sewn yet. And then this is one where I've started working in it. And the idea of a friendship journal is really like a little bit like a zine, but definitely more personal. And you can put anything in these. What I did before was leave it on my desk. It took me about a month to fill it up. And if I thought of something, I saw, I don't know, something, a magazine article, a story, something that I thought would either be of interest to my partner here that I was exchanging with, or just something about me, I put it in here. So when I open this up, you can see that I've started. So I've got, usually this is just where I write my hello message and just general information. And then I might put some things in here. Like here I put a jelly print in that I made, and then I wrote a little bit about that. And I just have a flip here and a page to write on. And then on here I have already started writing. And then just a flip with, this is the opening that you saw in the beginning of the video. And again, just some more, I've just got some more things on here just to get rid of that white page. Same thing here, another lined page, and then the back, and then a flip. There's a thing on Mozzie, and then the back page of the journal. So it's like 6 pages, and this is just cardstock, and then you fold it in half. You get your signatures in there, whatever you want, however many sheets, and then I just do a quick pamphlet stitch and sew it in. Okay, let me show you how to bind them. Now these are super simple to put together. So I've got 2 covers here that I made. They are just a piece of cardstock that I folded in half, and then I collaged some elements on the front, and then put a layer of Mod Podge over it, and then the wax that I normally use. And so I got that ready to go. Then I cut my paper down to size, and just enough to fit in here. On this particular book, I'm planning on using a single sheet here. This is just plain copy paper. This is just a scrap that I folded, some writing paper, another piece of copy paper, and then that's it. So I essentially put 3 sheets of paper in here plus this little insert, and that's all I'm going to put in here. So we'll go ahead and use this one. Now what you're going to need for this, besides that, is you're going to need something to sew it together with. And you can use, this is waxed linen. I got this at Michael's. You can get it a lot of places. You don't even have to use this though. You can use embroidery floss. You can staple it. You can use any kind of twine that you have. You're going to need a bone folder and a pair of scissors and a needle. And then I find it really helpful if you use the bulldog clips to just hold it together. And you're going to need a phone book or something that you can use that you can poke into that you don't mind poking into it. So what I'm going to do is just make sure that my paper is in there good. And I'm going to have a little overhang here. I cut it a little bigger than I probably should have. I don't care. It's fine. And just going to find my center. And I really just want to double check that one little piece there. Okay. So I'm just going to find my center. I'm going to secure it with these just so that it all stays together. I've done it before where I haven't used these and it works fine too. So whatever you feel comfortable with. I just would rather make sure that they all line up. Okay. You could even use just plain paper clips. That would work too because it's not very thick. Okay, so go about to the center of your book here where you can find some place you can poke. And you want to just set that down in there. So you want to make sure it's in that crease. Okay? And then, I forgot to tell you, you are going to need an awl. I'm going to make sure this is kind of, there we go. Okay. I'm just going to wing it. If this was something that, I really wanted to make sure was perfect, I would use a template. But I'm going to go about in the center, just poke a hole like that, about 1 inch from the edge here, and about 1 inch from the edge here. And you go down, and that's it. That's all you have to do. You see they went through there. You can get rid of this. And I think I'll use white on this, and generally you go about 3 times the length, and that should give you plenty. What's nice about the wax thread is it stays. So when you go to tie it off on the end, it holds its knot. Okay, so what I do is I want to have it come together here. I want to be able to, maybe I think I'll do it up here actually. So you go in here. Can you sorry, I have to figure out which way the camera's going here. Okay, so there at the top, so just pull it through like that, and you want to leave a tail about that long. So a couple inches, something so that you have something to hang on to. Go down through the center, and because this is so thin, you know, you're not working through a whole lot of paper, it's easy to get through it. And then you want to go down through that one and come up. Now, one thing I do want to tell you is when you are trying to tighten this, you don't, if you go the direction opposite that you're going, you will tear it if you try and do it like this. So when you try to tighten your thread, you pull it in the direction you're going. So I'm going to go to this hole, so I'm going to pull it like that. And the reason it's not tightening is because I don't have my hand on the tail here. Then go back down through the center, like that. Okay, I'm going to pull this in the direction I'm going. So I'm going this way, so I'm going to pull it like that, just to make sure it's taut. And I'm going to tie a knot. And you tie a double knot, which is the way that it stays secure. And I'm just going to flip this over and make sure everything is tight enough in here. And I want this a little tighter. Okay. And then you just tie that in a knot. And that is it. You've got your book done. And then you can, you know, if you want to tie it in a bow, you can do that too. Sometimes if I have enough left, I might do that. And it looks like I have some here, so I think I'll just tie that in a bow like that. Okay. Cut it off. Remove your clips. I think on something this thin, I probably would use smaller clips or even just paper clips because it's certainly small enough. And that, there you go. You've got it. You can run your... And then I just go through and make sure my pages are all creased nicely. This will only have one. Catch it right there. And now you're ready to start working in this. See how easy is that? It's so simple to sew it. So there you go. We've been through a lot today. We've looked at making friendship journals and envelopes and packaging for your zine, and even took a look at the specifics of the June Zine. But what I really want to stress is the importance of taking the time to build your friendships. And working in either a zine or a friendship journal does just that. Going back to the beginning of the video where we saw Gail and Oprah, they've had a long time friendship, and it didn't just happen overnight. It took commitment and time to build. And when you're working in your zines and your friendship journals, that's exactly what you're doing. You're committing to building this friendship. So that's it for now. If you have any questions, please leave them down below, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.